All right, let's get this thing started. All right, so if you're seeing a black microphone right below my chin, that's my effort for you to have good sound as much as technologically available for me. Today I'm going to be talking about a question posed to me. How does one keep intensity in a relationship? How does one keep intensity in a relationship? Now, this will pertain to you whether or not you're in a relationship. If you're single, perfect. You're gonna learn some incredible insights as to what happens in the beginning of any relationship. By the way, if you're single, I want you to think about this. Some of you right now, you're looking at ways to learn the techniques to become good with women, and that's profoundly important. But what you truly must learn are the foundational skills, basically, essentially, life skills, so you can become good with everybody. Because if you think about it, it only takes one woman to change your life. It'll only take one woman. Now, what if it took you a year, 5 years to find that woman? Would it be worth it? The woman that would change your life? Answer is of course. What if it took you 3 years? Would it be worth it? Of course. So just work on yourself, work on the fundamental skills that will make you an attractive person, which is essentially what I talk about mostly. Now, if you're not single, if you're in a relationship, this is incredibly important, obviously, because you want to create intensity in the relationship as the emotions of attraction and infatuation wanes. But I'm going to go over that. So there are 3 things that happen in any relationship at the outset. And that is the 3 I's. Number 1, the first I is infatuation. The second I is intensity. The third I is intimacy. Infatuation, intensity, and intimacy. Now, before I answer the question, I want to lay out the base as to your foundational thinking. So, infatuation, intensity, and intimacy. Infatuation is your body's producing chemicals stopping you from seeing the person for who they actually are, which is intimacy. Infatuation prevents from intimacy, from your knowing exact or for your perceiving your beloved for who they actually are. You've met a girl and she can do no wrong. She's hot. All of the annoying things that other people might do, you find endearing and cute in that woman. She really can't do anything unattractive because you are in infatuation. You're blinded, as they say. And so, in any outside of the relationship, you go through infatuation, which lasts over 3 weeks up to 2 years or a year and a half, 18 months. And what makes it faster is your lack of unrestrained and unlimited access to your beloved. For example, if you don't live with your beloved, not yet, you don't have full access to your beloved, to her, then that will prolong intensity prolong infatuation, because what prevents intimacy, you're getting to know them for who they actually are, is the fact that you don't get them all the time. You don't live with them, you don't sleep with them all the time. And so what prevents that is your restricted access. Once you have restricted access, intimacy will climb. Intimacy will climb once you have unrestricted and unrestrained access. So what happens is that your body puts locks on the windows, so you don't see them for who they actually are. The woman looks at a glass of water and she says, "Oh my God, look how wet it is outside of the glass." And you say, "Oh, she's so cute." Really, it's just condensation. But whatever they do, you perceive as endearing. Now, infatuation, intensity, and intimacy. Intensity is the intensity of the relationship, which wanes as infatuation begins to decline and intimacy begins to rise. As you know them for who they actually are and infatuation goes away, sorry. All right, so when infatuation begins to decline, intimacy begins to rise. And at a point in a relationship, intimacy stays at about a 4 or a 5 out of 10, knowing that person for who they actually are. And then there comes a point in a relationship where when you have unrestricted access to that person, intimacy climbs really fast and intensity wanes. The intensity of the relationship goes down and you no longer feel the same way for that person. And so that's why people get into things like BDSM or fetish or kink or cheating. Cheating or lying for some people is a turn on. It is basically a kink. It's a fetish. So it turns them on and it keeps the intensity high. So couples do things to increase intensity in their relationship, much of which is really unhealthy. But there's no other way, because in a monogamous relationship, which is what's taught in our culture, when you grant yourself to your beloved unlimited, you grant them unlimited access and only them exclusive access, and they grant themselves to you on an unreserved and exclusive basis, you now have come into a point where you have both taken each other for granted. It's inevitable. It's what happens when you both grant yourself to each other. So when you both feel and be taken for granted, it's the worst thing that could happen in a relationship. And it's inevitable in a monogamous one. Therefore, people take on unhealthy behaviors so that they can keep the intensity high. Okay? What do? In my relationship, I have, if you've read my book, Relationships 101, How to Have Happy, Harmonious, Sexual, and Loving Relationships, you can get it if it's on Amazon, or you can click on the book link on my website. I talk about how I view relationships and how I manage my relationship. Some of you know I have open relationships wherein I have multiple girlfriends who know about each other and who follow my 2 rules of relationships. Now, open relationships is severely misunderstood. Open relationships doesn't mean open legs. It means open communication. Therefore, I can communicate with my beloved transparently, openly. If I see a hot woman, I say, "Man, she's hot. I would really love to take her to bed." And she smiles at me and she says, "That'd be awesome." And I do the same thing with her. We have tremendous open communication, wherein other couples in a closed relationship, they can't say truly how they really feel because of the repercussions with them. So it's a tremendous, powerful relationship model where it's tremendously open and I can be myself. Now, what keeps the intensity high in my relationship, infatuation in my relationships are long gone. I now love them for who they actually are. We have incredible intimacy. I love them for who they are. I know everything about them, and I love them dearly. And what keeps the intensity high is her being able to go after what she wants, when she wants, whomever she wants, whenever she wants, and come back to me. And I go for whoever I want, because what turns a man on is novelty. What turns a man on is novelty. What turns a woman on is great sex. But then, it's not so much novelty that turns a woman on. What turns a woman on is her menstrual, actually differently, in a different way, the kind of man that turns women on is dependent on her menstrual cycle, on her monthly cycle. At certain points in her cycle, she's attracted to a different kind of man. And so, just read the book if you want to learn the basis, the foundation, and the information about that. But when she's attracted to a different man, I can't. Gentlemen, you cannot fake a fetish. You cannot fake a fetish. If a woman likes something else that I can't provide, I want her to go get it. And she's more than welcome to come back to me. And more often than not, my girlfriends come back to me. And I want her to be completely transparent and open and be herself, unrestricted and open. And it's one of the most incredible and loving thing you can ever do for anybody. And so that's how I keep my intensity high. If you're a primarily monogamous person, and that's fine, you must learn the basic foundational skills you must have so you can nurture incredible relationships. What are these things? Communication. Do you communicate how much you love your beloved? Do you communicate how much you love your beloved throughout the day? You can literally only see your beloved and work throughout the day or be somewhere else traveling. If you spend maybe 2 hours or maybe a few moments in the day just telling your beloved, I love you, that is sufficient for most people. That's sufficient for most people. So communication is key. Do you communicate to your beloved? Now, what it will require of you is that you learn communication skills. You learn how to look her in the eye and tell her exactly how you feel, using as much vocabulary that you can muster, that you can wrap around the emotions, that you can transfer to her. Communication is not what you say, it's how you can duplicate in the other person what you mean. If I say blue and they perceive yellow, no, blue. And they say, orange? You're not communicating well. So in order for you to be a good communicator, you must increase your vocabulary and you must learn communication skills. The other aspect of just foundational skills to nurture good relationships, are you good in bed? Are you good in bed? If you're not good in bed, learn it. Most men don't know anything about sex. If you are just a little bit above average in bed, you'll beat 90% of men out there, because most men are horrific in bed. Do you know how she's turned on? Have you asked her about her fantasies? Whether or not she tells you? It's going to be dependent on how open your communication is in your relationship. Are you good in bed? If you're not good in bed, there are many classes out there you can take, one of which is the workshop that I have called the Masterful Lover Workshop. If you're on my website, just check it out. It's called the Masterful Lover Workshop. And I encourage you to take it. I encourage everybody to take it. Do you know how to make your woman squirt, have ejaculating orgasms? Because if you don't know how to teach her, or if the woman doesn't know how to have ejaculating whole-bodied orgasm, She's retracting the fluids of her orgasm back into her bladder, which causes infections. I know you don't want that, so I want you to teach your woman how to have incredible orgasms. And what it will require of you is to know what the fuck you're doing. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. In order for you to increase the intensity of the relationship, I suggest you open up your relationship, you go up to your beloved and say, baby, I've noticed some things about our relationship that has prevented us from being ourselves and having open communication. One of which, and then you continue on from there. And what's going to help you explain that to your beloved is getting my book, Relationships 101, How to Have Happy, Harmonious, Sexual and Loving Relationships. Go to Amazon, get that book now. It's critical that you know that information. Until next Monday, I'll talk to you again.